Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for the brand new video as we have the utmost pleasure and joy of sitting and reacting and reflecting on what was a sensational 1-0 performance. Honestly, there's almost too much to talk about. Now, I'm not wanting to be like Leonard for the Big Bang Theory and hold up a sign that says sarcasm, but sometimes you just never know how people are going to take things, and obviously that comment and start was obviously laced with some sarcasm, as that was a really tough slog of a game of football. But it isn't necessarily a surprise in some aspects, but some actually were, and there is actually a lot to dive in to today's video, because yesterday we talked about, I was thinking it was going to be an ugly game, it was going to be a 2-0 Rangers, it wasn't going to be a build on from the great performance versus Dundee, the even better performance versus Malmo, moving us in the right direction, playing this free-flowing attacking football. I did feel yesterday this would be ugly, just roll the sleeves up and get air the line, but by God, was I not expecting Cinderella's stepsister. And it's interesting, right, because I'm not oblivious to what people are saying or how people are feeling at the games online, wherever you're actually watching. I know some people aren't happy, and I know there's going to be some people that just says, listen, it was jobs done, we got the win, and that is all that matters. And I think you can be in both sets of the camp and come to an agreement that yes, we are winning games, but not exactly playing too well. But at the same time, as if I ask anyone who is frustrated, upset, or annoyed, don't worry, I'm not just going to happy clap this entire game. We're going to speak about some of the ugly stuff. Stay with me for a couple of minutes. But to everyone that's currently watching, if you'd have went coming back for the international break for winning our next 4 fixtures, included a quarter-final, a European away day, and gone back to Ibrox for the very first time versus Hibs, if you were to get 3 wins out of 3 wins for that, no questions asked, would every Rangers fan know have accepted it? I think a lot of us would have bit the hand off that without questions being asked, especially with how pish and how poor we were playing previously to the international break. So we're getting the job done, but it's not exactly great, and there is some familiar frustrations about it. So aye, 3 points up the road if you actually will. Great to be back at Ibrox, great to start it off with winning ways, but at the same time as the league performances have to improve. It's fine doing it in a cup game where Dundee needs to come out and score, because again, it's not a league competition. They're going to give you more chances because they're needing to go forward because they want to try and score. And in European football, as we've talked about it with this new format now, there's not many teams at home that's going to park the bus and cause to frustrate you. So there's reasons and reasoning in why we're playing so well in these cup competitions and completely different in league football. And the reason is we still don't have a style of play that is good enough to really break down these part the bus sides or teams that aren't going to leave us massive open gaps to penetrate and beat. And that's the question that's on Phil Clement's hand, because again, we were so poor in this game of football. Yes, we won, but we finished the game 1-0 versus a poor Hibs side, ladies and gentlemen, that's missing Martin Boyle and Joe Newell. 2 massive players for them. What a boost that is for Rangers to play that side, yet we still finished the game with 6 defenders on the park, including 3 right backs. Our entire right hand side, right back, right centre mid and right wing, we're all right backs. That's Pete first ballad old Brexit ball. And that's where we are, clinging on for dear life, needing to rely on 2 centre-backs bailing us out with the last couple kicks of the old boss. So it is going to be an interesting one. I'm very curious to see how your thoughts and your opinions are regarding that game of football. But where we could keep pouring negativity on this, I do want to talk about a couple of players very briefly, because where this wasn't the sexiest game in the world or the most eye-opening game, it's a complete contrast of the other 2 games we've had. But at the same time as we won, and the players that, in my opinion, helped us get this win despite so much going wrong and despite being so ugly. I want to shout out Jackie Butland to start off. Super Jack Butland in goal with a massive penalty save, and just look how important that was to the game. Look how well Hibs played in the second half despite scoring the goal. Can you imagine what would have been happening, or the nerves in the stadium and the nerves on the players' faces if it goes in 1-1 and Hibs come out firing like that in all cylinders, because we never had any fight. We were supposed to get the boost after saving a penalty kick and getting in there at half time, but it was Hibs that took over the momentum. So it shows you how important that save is for Jack Butland, and it's his first penalty save obviously in a Rangers shirt. You saw what it meant to him, his emotions after it, his celebrations. And we talked about this last week against Dundee, but that point blank double save versus Dundee, that slide challenge when he was 1v1 versus the Dundee forward, that there has played a big part in seeing Jack Butland get his confidence back amongst himself, and he's looking like early season last year Rangers goalie, and that's saving everyone in sight. So Jack Butland needs a special mention, especially on a game that ends 1-0. As ugly as that, you're going to need your goalie, and Jack Butland done his thing. A couple of other players we need to mention very briefly in this ugly win is going to be Big Jeffy, that was back playing at the left back position. And we spoke a lot yesterday's preview video about who should be playing. Is it Nana? Is it Jeffy? And I said that's not the conversation to have, because Nana's not a left back. The conversation should be Nana or Tavernier. Jeffy should go back in because he's been playing well and been one of our better players. A BS suspension in European football shouldn't take away for that laddie, and I think he showed. I think he won the sponsors man of the match, and I didn't really agree with him being the overall man of the match, but he was definitely one of our better players on the day, running his heart out. And even in the 92nd minute, he picked the ball up, and there was just nobody near him. You know what I mean? The subs came on and were barking. I'm going to speak about that in a minute or two, besides Barami, who created a couple of opportunities, of course. But Jeffy with that pace, Jeffy with that energy, and he made sure we got across the line with some big challenges as well, and showing maybe the other side of the game. But his pace was badly needed and a Rangers team that was embarrassingly slow this afternoon. So shout out that laddie. But I do want to talk about 3 other players, and I'm sorry I'm going to mention them again for about the 5th time in a row. But Connor Barron is the player I want to go next, because if there's ever a game to summarise the importance of a Connor Barron, it's this game right here. Because what I saw for this laddie is something I didn't see very often in the modern game. It's the dirty, hard-working, slide-challenging player dragging his team through the game of football. Not only with his challenges and his slide challenge, so many interceptions that you'll not see on highlight packages, you'll not see on Twitter. I mean, look at this, look at this. Nobody will talk about it, but he made one in the first half where they're in behind us with a wee backheel slide challenge. Absolutely outrageous interception there to move the ball away. But it was late on the game as well, around about the 80th minute, in fact, where there looked like to be a 50-50 with us piling people forward. It looked like it was in there for Hibs. If they get this 50-50, they've got a 3-on-2 counter-attack, and we've seen us being stung by that time after time after time. We've seen Lunny lose that battle, but Barron came in, won it, got the crowd up, and gave us a bit of a spark to where the next 3 or 4 minutes were a bit more confidence on the ball, and we were able to chew the clock. Again, some people might say that's not good enough to be chewing the clock versus Hibs. That's fair enough if you feel that way, but you're going to beat what's in front of you, and sometimes you've got to play the cards you're dealt. And what we're handed today is an ugly game. Just make sure you didn't lose it. And that's what Connor Barron today, I thought he set it in. And again, those challenges, those moments, those maybe ugly side of the game helped drag an experienced side that was floundering over the line. So I'm not forgetting about Connor Barron, especially the way he was abandoned in the second half with one of the most baffling substitutions I've ever seen regarding Phil Clement taking off Raskin, who wasn't doing his job at penetrating passes going forward. Well, did Dowell do it for 45 minutes? Did he? Seriously, let go of the bias in your favourite players before it costs you your time at this club, because that sub killed any bit of control Rangers actually had, and it's simply because he doesn't like Raskin, but he likes Dowell. What did Dowell do in the game besides playing Hibs a couple of times? But Raskin wasn't doing what he's told. By God, if Dowell was, there's serious questions need to be asked on the instructions. But the last 2 players that I want to mention very, very briefly before we get to the game recap is the 2 players that were also key in winning this game of football, and that was your 2 centre halves. Again, no eye opening, no this, but when you're playing as poorly as that, you need big players to step up in the vital blocks and interceptions and clearances both centre halves had. Soapy, I know he gave a penalty away, we'll get into that in a minute or two, but the big header in the 94th minute from the corner, Proper's 2 big blocks plus his slide challenge about the 82nd minute as well, all vital in this game. So by hook or by crook, we won this game. Wasn't it pretty, but 3 points is 3 points, and for me, that was the spine that won you this team. It was Butland, Proper, Suter, Jeffy and Barron. That there is what made sure we come away with all 3 points. But it's funny, I know with me saying all this, people say, I can't believe you're complimenting some of the players, can't believe you're picking out some of the players for winning, but again, they were the reasons for me we actually won today's game. That's what I feel like we need to mention them. But let's go ahead and get into the game recap then, shall we, when we'll start telling the full story of this game that again was really poor. But when you saw the starting 11, did anyone else once again feel winded? There has to be something in that, you know, when we see starting 11s, how much we know as fans oh no, this doesn't feel right. Wait, this doesn't look like it's going to shape. We're not going to be right. Here, we as fans can see it. So how can the guy in charge not see it, especially in Scottish football? I know it's not the top tier competition. I know it's not top tier players, but it's still a very important competition and it still deserves a lot of respect. And I thought some of the rotations today were a little bit barking. And aye, playing Ross McCausland and Cherny, fair enough. Play Cherny on the left wing where he's played out his career and play wee Ross at least on his right hand side. Now for me, again, I've made it clear I don't like Ross starting games. I like him coming on. I think that's when you see the best of the young lad is he gets to run at tired defenders. Just look at the last couple of weeks. I think that backs a lot of that up. So at least I thought, right, maybe McCausland will be out on the right, Cherny will be out on the left. It sort of makes sense. But then no, it was that. Ross McCausland was played out of position and you could see it just constantly came in every single time. There was one point in the first half where he was beside Cherny. Hefty was completely on his own, and Egeman, who was getting his first start for his football club, was completely abandoned up top with one of the most barking front lines I've seen in a while. It just had no flow to it, had no chemistry to it, and it just never worked at all. And it's such a shame because the buzz is seeing Egeman, you're seeing our most creative player drop, you're seeing players once again played out of position, and you're seeing good players and players that are performing drop, and for players that are still struggling. And it's like, Phil, just put the team first. Big man, I know rotations have to happen. I know we've just played in Europe. I know that. Listen, I saw Diamandi limping at the airport. I knew he wasn't playing yesterday. We talked about it yesterday. I know rotations are key, but if Barami could play 45 minutes in the second half, you telling me can he start the game and play 45 minutes, get the game done and dusted and wrap it up right there? Why do we need to play into that and really struggle? And for me, I felt really bad for Igamani as he got the line. He never done much, but what did he have? He had a left winger that wanted to keep going at the right hand side. He had a right winger who's struggling for confidence right now and looks confused about the role that he's got because he's not allowed to be a winger. And I think that's where we need to go with Cherny next, actually, because you're going to hear a lot about him in today's video. There is frustrations. Obviously, I had a wee bit of a dig back at the crowd for having a dig at him because he just kept going back to wide. But that's not the player that I've seen a lot of before he came to this club. This isn't the player that I thought we were signing. What's actually happening with Cherny, for me, he looks like a player that's getting told one thing that's against the instincts that he's actually got. He's used to leading the right-hand side, being a focal point, sprinting down wing, putting the balls in a mixer, cutting inside, putting in there. But what is actually happening is he's having to come inside and play almost as a wide 10 as well and keep slowing down his style to let Tavernier trot by him, and it just is poor. And for me, the poorest part once again in this club or this team in this starting 11 was the right hand side where Tavernier and Cherny just doesn't work. There's nothing there at all, and it's so obvious to everyone but the ones that's making it in charge. So I know Cherny will be hung out to dry, and I get it, but all I will say is that's he's just getting asked to do stuff I didn't understand. Where's the guy that gets beyond his man and is looking to do this and is driving at the box? It's the same crap we're seeing no matter who plays right wing. Slow it down, slow it down, slow it down. Wait for Tav, pass it there, pass it to Tav. We need to get away for the Tav mindset. Just let players be themselves, because that's why we brought them in, because they're talented. Sorry, I got on a wee bit of a tangent there, but that's just how I felt about it, because I know I'm seeing a lot of stuff I said about Chen, and I get it, he simply hasn't been good enough in the last 2 games, but there is a player in there I just didn't understand or recognise what he's doing, but I guess it just depends how you actually look at it. Let's get into the game. But again, those frustrations sort of echo the first 5-10 minutes of this game, because we have been so positive over the last couple of games. Obviously, scoring in the first minute versus Malmo with a back pass does change it, but the positivity of it, the sharp play, the trying to get forward, the same versus Dundee, it was sort of gone for the slow, passive Barron to the centre-backs, to Barron, to the centre-backs, to the Barron, to the centre-backs. You think to yourself, oh, what's going on here? And to be fair, Clement was obviously very animated at the sidelines. If you saw him, he screaming, asking for this, asking for this. But again, I just felt the entire shape was wrong and the personnel was wrong in different areas, because I get why we passed the Barron in here, because it's supposed to open gaps up elsewhere. But again, we had a left winger that kept going into the middle and standing next to Tom Lawrence, who was actually quite next to Cherny. So we had the entire team sort of tucked over to the right-hand side, and Big Jeff just having to do everything down the left-hand side. And I think that played a lot in it. I just thought the whole shape was dreadful today. I really do. Surprised to me when you're playing as poorly as that and when you're being as slack as that with the amount of passes we passed to play and the frustrating Clement shouting at Raskin to do this and do this and this. Can he shout at anybody else? It'd be quite nice to actually see. But anyway, it's Hibs that nearly take the advantage of this with the slackness as they double up on Jeffy on the left-hand side. Again, he's on his own. There's nobody there help him. So the left back, the right back for Hibs actually just goes and presses up along with the right winger. Two of them go on Jeffy. McCausland's away in the middle. A wee flick on Cadden then gets down the wing. And we all know about Cadden. The one thing that laddie's got in his game is a phenomenal cross when he's running on the ball. We've talked about that for many years. Back in the SPFL show days, troops, we talked about his crossing ability. He puts it into the mix. And to be fair, big Butland here, we are brilliant as he has to get up over Suter. He claws at it and gets it away where he has to, but again the defensive reactions aren't good enough. Tavi's kind of away for his man and it drops to Hoylett, who Hoylett thankfully balloons it at the bar with a massive opportunity to take the lead and a really slow, sluggish start to the game that really shouldn't be happening when the first game back at Ibrox in terms of league football. To come out and fart like that, poor. But the best thing you could say about Rangers is we actually responded to that major opportunity for Hibs with a couple short corners. One of them to Tavernier to Cherny, back to Tav, puts in. We cross to McCausland. I'm not getting into it. McCausland actually does really well to header it backwards, but it's just over the bar. And then a couple minutes later, Cherny has his best moment of the game as he cooks both centre back and full back for Hibs, cuts inside, puts in a dangerous cross in at the mixer, but it's deflected up and over the bar where it could have easily went into the back of it. I thought, right, here we go. We've responded now, but then fell off a cliff again. Because we need to jump about 18 minutes in for the next time anything happens. It's the first half at Ibrox, first game back. And this is supposed to spark life. And the team, the rotations have been done to keep the levels where they need to be. We need to jump to the 26th minute for the first major opportunity on goal for Rangers in terms of a shot. No a cross, no a header for outside the box. I'm talking about a shot on target. And it's no surprise it comes from Big Jeff down the left-hand side. Absolutely sensational. Taking his man on, cooks him, sprints down the line. The guy's getting his jersey pulled right off him. It should genuinely be a yellow card, but he's not interested. Nick Walsh drives to the byline, whips one back, but Cheney completely scuffs it. And it was at that moment, I think the laddie's head went. You know, I thought the first 20 minutes or something, he was looked alright, you know what I mean, got involved, had a nice little good ball, had a shot that was unlucky, put a cross into the mixer, but I don't know what happened to him after that miss that his head just went, and he never really recovered for the rest of the game. Now there is a couple VAR incidences that we need to speak about, one in the 27th minute where it checked for a red card, but for me, I know it is maybe out of control, but I feel like the Larrys just slipped back, and I remember talking about this with the Sterling one, and I remember, was it Jack about a year and a bit ago as well, or was it the Lunny? I can't remember the exact one, but I said a very something similar. I think because the feet are down and the studs are down, I didn't actually think this is a red card. I know I'll get shouted at for the comment section below, but I need to stand on what I've said previously when it's happened to other Rangers players. You are allowed to put a Sahanona player, you are allowed to go in for a slide challenge, and it's just one of those things. Football is a contact sport. Because the fit isn't high, I can see why VAR hasn't gave him. I've got no complaints about that one, and I was delighted with the way that VAR returned that favour. You know what I mean? I wasn't screaming at VAR for the red card. I understood why it never happened, and then the VAR gods go ahead and give us a perfectly good goal that the referee decided to chop off due to an offside. And the way that actually happened, Tom Lawrence sparks into life. He tries to make a wee pass with Egeman, but it doesn't quite connect, but he does well. Him and Egeman press the loose ball. They win the second ball. It then goes to Ross McCausland, who cuts it back to Tom Lawrence, but then to be fair, it's all Tom Lawrence. He takes a wee touch, fakes the outside, cuts inside, and just does a wee bit of an R1 finesse. If you know, you actually know. Top bin banger, absolute screamer, but he doesn't get to celebrate his goal at all as the offside flag's up, and to be fair, it did look tight at the time. I did expect it to be off, but thankfully, ladies and gentlemen, it was confirmed to be on, and Tom Lawrence got a wee bit of a shout, and that's now his third goal and one assist, in his last 5 league matches. I know we've had our say on him, and maybe in the big games, especially in the old firms, he's not got the legs, the energy, or the work rate to really make it work in those games, but for these types of matches in league football, he's contributing, he's scoring big goals, and he's delivering 3 points. The case in point being today, you take his goal off the board, we didn't win that game. So Lawrence does what he does, and if he's going to keep doing that, especially in league football, I'll understand why he continually gets selected, as he's one of the few that actually has a shot in the actual Rangers team when it's not Barami coming on in the second half. But there is obviously a massive incident to talk about at the end of the first half before we move on. But before we talk about the VAR penalty and the penalty save, which everyone is going to speak about, I want to talk about low and to the left, Jack Butland, because here is the save so far of the season. It's absolutely outrageous, or at least least it was up to that point until a certain player in the second half saved a header from Serial Dessers. But this here from Kwan, he gets the ball, it looks like it's gone in all the way, but it's the absolute brim the fingertips that gets it just wide. Now, if I'm honest with you, I didn't even realise this laddie played for Celtic, and this isn't a dig at him or anything like that, but that's probably the first time I've ever seen a Celtic player on loan to another team in Scottish football no get booed for the opposition. And I think the reason for that is we don't know who that laddie actually is. And I'm not trying to be a dick here, I'm not trying to make any silly jokes. Genuinely had no clue until after the game of football. But aye, nobody's booing him, nobody's caring when he's getting subbed off despite being on loan to Celtic. I can't remember the last time that's ever happened. That's both sides. Usually the Rangers loanee gets booed at Park Keane. You know what I mean? It's kind of the way we do it, but I don't think anybody knew who the laddie was. But aye, he nearly punished us. But thankfully Jack Butland, loan to the left, makes it away. And where I'm getting ready here and where I'm celebrating Jack Butland, where I'm loving life, the whip in the corner, it comes in, it headers down, and it ends up hitting John Big Soapy's arm. And I don't know where I stand with this, because I've seen a lot of people say a lot of different things, but again, I feel like VAR got this one right as well, because, wait a minute, I know it's too far away and everything like that, it's really close, and I know what people are going to say, but I just think it's that. Do you know what I mean? It's just that. If he keeps his arm there, or if it's down the way or anything like that, I think he gets away with this one because of the close proximity. But it's just the way his arm goes up before it. If it happened the other way around, I'd be screaming for the penalty, saying the exact same thing. So again, I've got to stand here and stand on my thoughts and opinions on that. Just because his arm went up a little bit, he's been unlucky there. But it is a penalty kick, and up steps the Hibs striker looking to put it away. Again, Martin Boyle is injured, missed this game. The lad steps up and it ends up bringing out a phenomenal save from Jack Butland as the wee stutter penalty. Again, he's just overdone it. He looked a bit nervous before he took it, and I actually did say that out loud. He did take the wee stutter step, tries to tuck it away, but Jack Butland goes, "Nana." Big save. And what I loved is not only Proper's reaction, because if you go back and watch it after the save, he's right up to the Hibs player and talking shit. Again, I like that. That's what football is. Oh, mate, I've hurt his feelings and that. Everyone's too much wet wipes these days. You've got to be able to have, that's what football's all about. It's a contact sport. It's talking shit. It's having banter and all that. And I just like that old school. It reminded me of like Van Nistelrooy and the Arsenal centre-back Martin Keough. Do you remember that moment where he's missed a penalty and the defender's right on him and that? It's just, that's football to me. That's what I grew up loving. You know what I mean? That side of the old mentality battle as well. And that obviously brought the end of the very first half. And what I loved as well is the shithousery of the guy controlling the audio at Ibrox as the Hibs player went and consoled the Hibs player for missing the penalty. What does the guy in the DJ booth do? Goes ahead and plays Jack Butland's song, which is absolutely sensational banter. And I appreciate it. And just briefly on Soapy, no matter if you believe it was a penalty, I know there has been a hell of a lot of talk about him replacing Goldson this side and really solidifying himself as CB #1. How well's he done at right back? Well, I think his performances over the last couple of weeks and that phenomenal handball save really does start to fill the Connor Goldson shoes as he's back, flashback into what Goldson used to do. He's got a lot to learn as Goldson never really got punished for it, but he's getting there. And just actually in all seriousness, why was he not sent off? Because he's not denying a clear goal scoring opportunity. I think that's the official rules, because Jack Butland's there and it's probably going to hit him right in the old chest. So I believe it was a penalty. Do I believe he should have been sent off? Nah. Why? Because of the rules. But again, despite the frustration and the air and nerves in the last 15 minutes of the first half, I was still pretty positive because we were controlling the game, we were dictating every aspect of it. Despite us not creating goal-scoring opportunities, we had a middle of the park that was winning the battle, and we at least had the flow of the game, you know what I mean? Then 2 substitutions are made at half time. Barami, I agree with you, and you've seen that because he should have ended the game with assist. He injected something for young Ross McCausland. I did feel a little bit bad, if I'm honest with you. I wouldn't have been even against Cherny coming off, Ross going to his main position, and then Barami coming on. I wouldn't have been against that, but he decides to take McCausland off, who does have an assist in the game, brings on Barami, which, okay, fair enough, Barami's a much, obviously, better player than that. But the sub I didn't understand was Raskin off for Dowell, and I get it. I've already heard it. Oh, Raskin's pissing. Raskin's not doing what he's telling. Raskin's not. I've made my voice be known at the start of the video. What does Dowell offer that Raskin doesn't, and why did that substitution have to be made? Because like that, we lost control in the middle of the park. People can say, oh, well, Raskin was being too coy with the ball. He wasn't doing what he wanted. He wasn't doing these penetrating runs. Maybe he wasn't. But you know what he was doing? Bossing the middle of the park with Connor Barron, winning second balls, tracking men and no giving the ball away. That gave us the foundation to build in the game. You took him off the board, brought Dowell on, And I can't explain it to you any more than that, but we lost the midfield battle like that, and it just became Hibs having the ball, Hibs making it nervy, Hibs getting that, and I thought the subs were wrong by Clement, and it could have cost us. And I'm going to skip over about 15 minutes of, again, Hibs dominating the middle of the park at Rangers with a couple set pieces, a couple of long throws that, again, were well defended by Soapy, was well defended by Proper. That's why they're in there. Eggman ends up coming off in the 54th minute, and I want to mention that again, just echoing everything I've said. I feel like we let him down, and we never put him in the best position to succeed the day. I think if you're putting him behind the actual first team and the strength there, he's got a chance at Ibrox, but no, with a makeshift, change this, change that, I wasn't 100% behind it. But I wanted to mention his substitution for another reason, because on came Dessers in the 54th minute of this game. If you don't know the answer, and if you are still watching today's video, please get involved in the video right now, right? Pause it after I ask you this question and let me know. I just want to see where people is. He came on the 54th minute. When do you think his first touch of the football actually is, in minute-wise? Let me know down in the comment section below. I'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. His first touch after coming on in the 54th minute of the ball, in terms of in control of it, came in the 74th minute of the game. That's the first time our number 9 at home got a touch of the football to bring it down and bring others into play. That summarises how lost we were in that second half and how much it wasn't actually working. Dessers came on, was just a complete bystander, and Eggman will get cooked and called this and flop this, flop that now. But again, Dessers came on, and Dessers been playing pretty well this season. Didn't he touch it for 20 minutes? And again, I imagine if you're a Hibs fan, you're saying, why are you not talking about this header? Why are you not talking about this header? I understand why, but again, it was mostly set pieces. It was mostly pressure from Hibs during this 20 minutes of non-football from Rangers at home at Ibrox. Chen ended up having a dig at the fans for digging at him, but again, it was all just safe possessions. He's not up and charging, and again, that's where I go back to what I talked about earlier. That isn't him, this slowing down and waiting for Tab, the galloping fullback, to get by him. It must be it must be an instruction, because a player doesn't completely go in a shell of himself like that in the space of a couple of weeks. Think his first start, how positive, how much he was running forward, when he was putting balls in the mix, having shots. Now he's like having to second guess everything and wait to see if the pass is actually there. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe the pressure is too much for him. Maybe I'm looking for excuses for him, but by God, he was stinking. And the right-hand side was just as bad. And yeah, there was no platform there at all. He ends up getting substituted off around about the 67th minute of the game. And again, we still have no control. And it came off for Sterling, right? And you sit and look at it, right? And I'm just going to put it out, and this is the way we're looking at it. We've got a starting right-back in these games who's better offensively than he is defensively, playing right back. We've just brought on a right back who's better defensively than he is offensively, and we're playing him at right wing. Now, does that make any sense to anyone? To me, it really doesn't. Years ago, it wouldn't have, because I always argued the reason Tavernier's getting any space is because he's coming for right back. He's using his pace there. The right winger's cutting inside. Aribo's cutting inside. Haji's cutting inside. And that's giving the space to Tavernier to gallop. That's why he's so important at right back. But Tav's no galloping anymore. He's not got the legs to do it. And when we're asking a natural winger in Cherny to do the same role, cut inside and wait for Tavernier to gallop, it's no working, because it's so slow, it's breaking everything down. And then when we're caught on the counter, there's a massive gap in the right hand side, and Cherny's having to come back and defend. As bad as he was, there was 2 challenges that he put in at the edge of the box that he had to make to stop balls coming into the mixer. That's supposed to be our attacking right winger that's having to do the job. Yeah, fullback. And aye, when the Sterling substitution happened as well, it confused me even more, because you can see the laddie's better defensively. Surely you just go, at this stage of Tavernier's career. And it does take me to maybe other right backs, because I saw it with Fernando Rickson as well. Obviously he didn't play as long as Tavernier in terms of his age and everything like that, but as much as people talk about Rickson and what an absolute hero and everything that he done, he wasn't necessarily the greatest right back for Rangers. I'll sit and say that. I feel comfortable saying that. Where we saw the best of Rickson, in my opinion, was when we moved him to the middle of the park, when we realised he couldn't contribute at right back. That wasn't his best position. And I just feel like we're banging on the door right now to either make a decision to play Tavernier as a right centre mid or play Tavernier as a right winger. That could be where he goes. Or we need to put the team first and make the big ballsy decision. A contract extension at the start of the season should give you enough credit to go ahead and make and begin the rotation and begin the change there. And that is Sterling or Nana at right back, because, ladies and gentlemen, there is one clear warning sign and problem with this team, despite steps in the right direction, despite tough weeks, long weeks, Europe picking up 3 points. It's that right-hand side of Rangers, and again, for me, it's no unfixable. There's players there performing who naturally play there. I think we're banging on the door now, and it's very clear something needs to be done, because it simply isn't good enough. And the subs that were forcing into the team to keep Tavernier on the park and keep Tavernier in his position is absolutely criminal, and it's weakening us. But we did create that clear goal scoring opportunity that would have made it back to back to back. Perfect predictions in terms of preview video predictions from me for a cheeky Rangers 2-0 as the ball goes down to the left hand side to Barami. He puts in a wonderful ball into the mixer to Big Dessers. He's just got to score here. Now it does come an incredible save, and I'm in that weird mindset of, oh my god, it's just a worldly save. But at the same time, as if Dessers just headers it down, he's got a goal there, you know what I mean? But he seems to keep it up in the air. That gives the goal at least an opportunity to do it. So, I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, but considering we won the game, and I am happy, I'm going to say it's more of a worldie rather than a sitter miss. But that shows you the quality in the right areas, because McCausland and Czerny couldn't cross the road the day Barami comes on, puts one in the mixer, should wrap the game up. And honestly, now that I'm thinking it just off the back of my head, the chances he's created for Dessers and Ray, and actually a couple of people, that's 5 assists Barami should have in the last game and a half. And he's not played a full 90 minutes yet. This stats that this man's deserving is being robbed of players letting him down, and that's why we as the fans want to see more of him. I get it, just after Europe, might know this, might that, but if he could play 45 minutes in the second half, can he not start the game off and give Igamani the chance to actually play with someone creative and good? I don't know. Maybe I'm talking nonsense. But where we should score, Hibs should score, as well as Dwight Gale, a former Football Manager stream legends will recognise, who used to play for us in the old streaming days. He gets the ball, sorry, I think it's Karen that gets the ball out wide, whips the ball into the mixer. Of course it is, it's Karen after all, and Dwight Gale gets a header that I thought was in the back of it, but it is just a whisker wide as he manages to beat Suter to the ball with his wee fake to the left. He just does Suter here, gets the header in the mixer. He's an experienced centre forward that scored a lot of goals in his career, and you can see why. His movement is second to none, but thankfully it goes just wide, and then it becomes, let's just get out of the line here. Nana ends up coming on. Is it for Tavernier? Nana, ladies and gentlemen, we end up moving Tavernier one forward at that point, but then we've got Tavernier, Sterling and Tav all sort of wanting to do the same job and being the same type of player, and I just don't get it. I just don't. Why are we forcing it for one player? Why are we weakening our side for one player? It's a bit daft to me, but Hibs then started piling pressure on. They have a shot that's from a corner that's brilliantly blocked by John Soapy Suter. There's one where it's brilliantly blocked by Big Proper. There's one where it comes in that Proper gets another block on it. Again, as we mentioned earlier in the video, Suter's there in the 94th minute with a big header that gets the ball away. And that is it. It's game. It is set. And it's match. And it's as ugly gets. And it's as poor as it gets. But again, ladies and gentlemen, and if you have watched at this point in the video, I'm happy in the fact that we got the 3 points. My only worry is, my only niggling thought is, in the league, we are not improving or putting a style in play that's maybe going to bring success, or I can see it building. Cup competitions would have been great because teams have to come out a wee bit more and give us a bit more space, and we're carving them open. Put Dundee to the sword, put Malmo to the swords. But when the league, again, similar to Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, Clement still no implemented a style of play in Scottish football that can bring success. It seems to require moments of magic from players, and he's been getting that out Tom Lawrence, but we know that runs out. You know what I mean? You're not always going to be lucky that the day, and aye, we were a wonder strike and a penalty save away from dropping points the day, and a really poor performance. So aye, it depends how you look at it. Half full, half empty. I think we've all got the same points. We need to play better than that if we want to be success. But again, after a long, hard week, fair enough. We'll take it from there, and that's my thoughts and opinions on it. It was the defensive side of the guys that stood out to me and performed really well. Pretty much every attacker let us down the day. It was the other side of the game. So if you enjoyed the dirty side, Barron's probably your man in the match. Proper, Soapy is probably your man. Big Jack, Jeffy, they're the guys that stood out and shined. The rest, again, were really poor on the day. And maybe it shows you what Diamandi brings to the midfield, because if it's Dowell or Diamandi coming on, I'll tell you, I'd rather it be Dio all damn day. But that's my thoughts and opinions on the game of football. What about you? Ugly, but we'll take the 3 points and hopefully get a little bit better and realise if we're going to play players, play them in the right position. And again, the big decisions, Colin, Clement. Are you big enough to make it? We'll find out over the next couple of weeks. But until then, I've been Siege and over 92. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the old comment section below. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. All the best and bye-bye.